AITA for giving my child my last name. I, 27F, got pregnant by my now ex, 26M, who we'll call D. We had been on a relationship for about 3 years and both were in agreement on not caring about marriage and were satisfied simply being partners. A year before this, I had an unplanned pregnancy that didn't make it to term, and with that pregnancy, I found out I had a genetic condition called hyperemesis gravidarum, HG, which is pretty much morning sickness, but to an extreme. Both of us were aware I would likely get sick again with this current pregnancy and discussed me staying with my mother if it got bad. It definitely got bad. I was so nauseated 247 that I stopped being able to both eat and drink and had to go to the ER multiple times as well as be hospitalized twice. While D did take me to the ER, he didn't visit me more than once in the hospital, as he doesn't like hospitals. Eventually, I decided I needed to stay with my mother, which I'm glad I did. She helped a lot with connecting me to a decent OB and getting me on benefits as I was unemployed and couldn't work while sick. For my whole first trimester, I was sick and bedridden, barely able to eat more than Jell-O until my doctor was able to get me a medical pump and slowly, I was able to eat more. During this time, I had lost about 50 pounds. Around my second trimester, I started to finally feel like a person again, still connected to a medical device, but able to eat and move around without throwing up. This is when I noticed how distant D had gotten. Up until this point, I had been too sick to even watch videos on social media, so I hadn't been putting a lot of effort into trying to text every day. I spent most of my first trimester just sleeping and attempting to survive. D hadn't made much of an attempt at coming to visit me, but my mother lived an hour away from our apartment, so I didn't push him to come. I tried to be better about texting. I hate phone calls, but it just seemed like he wasn't interested. The only time we really interacted was when he would come to pick me up and bring me back to our apartment. I had gotten approved for EBT, and so I would buy him groceries for the month. These visits felt odd, almost impersonal, and I didn't really know what to do. It wasn't until my third trimester that things came to a head. I was supposed to come over to help rearrange the apartment and pack a few of my things away to make room for baby stuff. I had specifically asked that D let me know ahead of time what day we would do this on as I had potential plans, but he forgot. When the day came, I told him I had plans already and he blew up. A fight ensued and ultimately it ended our relationship. From here things were somewhat amicable. I stopped communicating with him unless it involved me getting my things or our child. We discussed co-parenting and things for the future. It was during this that 2 points were brought up. Initially, when we were still in a relationship, I had decided I wanted to hyphenate our child's last name, so he would have both of our last names. D reminded me of this during our discussions and I somewhat dismissed, but didn't disagree with it. Then he asked an odd question about what we would do about future partners. We'd only been broken up for less than a week, so I thought this was a wild thing to bring up. Fast forward a month and right before my baby shower, I had gotten a call that D had been arrested, minor charge that got dropped, and a few days later he called me from jail. I still don't know why he did this, but I picked up regardless. During this call, I asked him how our car got home. The car was only in my name, so I figured it would have been towed, but I hadn't been informed. He told me a friend was with him when he was arrested and drove it home for him. I asked which friend and he got quiet. I finally asked, "What, did you get a girlfriend?" Jokingly, and he responded, "Yeah." The call didn't last long after that. After I told a few of my friends about this, one of them checked the new girlfriend out on Facebook. D updated his relationship status very quickly after he told me, and found that their relationship status stated that they'd been in a relationship for 4 months. We'd been broken up for barely a month by then. I asked him about it later, trying to give him the benefit of the doubt that it had been a mistake, but he admitted that he'd been dating this girl for a while, stating that she knew about everything and understood. He also insisted that it wasn't cheating because they didn't do anything technically. I pretty much stopped contacting him except to get my stuff and give him information regarding our child. I didn't tell him when I went into labor. I didn't want him in the hospital while I gave birth, but I let him know shortly after that his son had been born. He showed up that night, spent an hour with his son, then went home. The next morning was when I started signing the absurd amount of paperwork after you give birth, and one of those papers was his birth certificate. On it I put only my last name for my son, instead of the hyphenated dual last names I had initially agreed to. When D eventually came back to the hospital to sign his part of the birth certificate, he noticed this and freaked out, claiming I was being petty and depriving him of his legacy. He has another child who also doesn't have his last name, so that probably doesn't help. Honestly, I didn't do it out of pettiness. I did it because I knew I wouldn't go anywhere, but D's recent behavior made me realize he could dip out at any time, and I didn't want my son saddled with the name of someone who'd potentially abandon him. As of right now, our son is almost a year old and D has visited him a total of 4 times, the last time being when our son was 4 months old, which does make me feel like I made the right decision. Still, I do feel like it might have been a bit out of line considering we discussed both names. So, am I the asshole? Should I have just hyphenated it on the off chance that he sticks around? If this story kept you hooked, give it a like, share your thoughts below, and subscribe for more.